Hey bitches, I'm Elle and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a reverse watercolor peekaboo. I normally do the watercolor first and then do the peekaboo effect with either glitter or spray paint over top, but this time we did things a little bit differently. The glitter is going to be the base, then we are going to do the watercolor effect as the peekaboo. Everything will be found below in the description box, and I just want to thank everybody for subscribing, liking, and sharing. It is greatly appreciated. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Slowly but surely, we will get there. Now let's get it. So for this base, I used Adhesive Apothecary's black Cauldron color in the color Like My Soul. It is a 3-in-1 paint primer adhesive. So you literally paint it on the cup, go in with your glitter, and you're good to go. I'm using this purple glitter called Alexandrite from Petey Creative Studio. I have a discount code for both down below in the description box. Once I get my glitter how I like it, the Cauldron color dries super quick. I will go tap off all the excess and let it dry. Usually with single colors, I do not seal, but with this being a multi-size mix, which is a chunky, I decided to seal it with the binding potion, let dry, and then went into first coats of epoxy. I only did one coat of epoxy to cover this tumbler because the binding potion, I'm telling you, it's some type of sorcery. Really helped this multi-size glitter lay flat. That's what I'm showing now, just how flat this glitter lays with these new products I'm using. Once my sealer dries, like I said, I mixed up about 30 ml of DIY Epoxy Speedy Petey. That is a fast set. My favorite fast set. One coat is all it took. All it took. So periodically in the video, you will see spots sped up without any sound. I try to keep these short, but very informative. But first, I want you guys to see just how flat this multi-size mix has laid. This is why it only took one coat to cover the glitter. Let's get into the next steps. Now to the fun part. Once you get your tumbler, your glitter epoxied, now we are going to cut our template for the peekaboo. So the template that we are using is one of my templates I designed. This is called the Tooled Leather with the Dots. It's a nice leafy type template. I usually upload it into my Cricut, cut it on the regular vinyl setting. I use removable vinyl, and then we start weeding it. This template can be found on my website, and it's easy to weed depending on your settings that you use for your cutting machines. And if your blade is, new, old, that all goes into consideration. But we're going to get this part sped up and get to wrapping it. All right, bitches, now that we are finishing up the weeding process, we are going to get our transfer tape. We are going to lay that over our weeded vinyl. We're going to get it smoothed out, and then we are going to wrap it around our smooth epoxied tumbler. You want your epoxy smooth as possible because you're going to be spray painting completely over this vinyl template. So if you did not epoxy it smooth, you're going to see lumps, bumps, waves. I usually do 2 coats of epoxy. That is usually enough to cover my glitter. So it is definitely your discretion and depends on what type of glitter you use. So I always leave a little lip on my transfer tape. I get some painter's tape, tape it down so I have it completely even. I remove 1/4 of the piece of the backing, lay it down on the tumbler, then we roll it. I use my hand just to start getting the vinyl as flat as possible. And once we get it completely wrapped, you remove the transfer tape like I am doing there. And then we move on to the next part, which is spray painting. Let's speed it up, bitches. So what you see me doing here is I'm just making sure that my seam is okay. If it is sized correctly, your seam will match up perfectly. A couple of pieces didn't transfer, so I'm adding it into some spots. And now let's spray paint. When you are spray painting, I do multiple coats. I'm using color shots, so it dries in a couple minutes. I will spray, let dry. You don't want any runs in your paint, so definitely try to layer it. The spray paint dry time all depends on your environment. I live in the South, so color shot dries for like 5 minutes for me. But I literally do 3 to 4 coats. Now let's get into the watercolor Peekaboo. So once my spray paint is dried, I get the alcohol inks that I want to use. You can use makeup sponges. I am actually using a Mr. Clean knockoff magic eraser. I squirt a little bit of the inks and then I just start dabbing it all over the tumbler. I don't worry about blending because when you remove the vinyl, you're not going to be able to see the blend. So once I get all my colors laid down, you can do this however you'd like. Let your mind go and just start dabbing whatever colors you want. There's no rhyme or reason. It does not have to be perfect. Let loose, bitches. The more alcohol ink you add, the darker it gets. With alcohol inks, you can fix your mistakes. But with this, you have to understand there are no mistakes. Just go with it. Let your mind go. Now that I have my inks laid like I want them, I am getting a messed up paintbrush and I am dipping it in 91% alcohol and I am just splattering it all over the tumbler to get like a bubble effect. If your alcohol and ink start to run, I literally just blow on it to get it to stop. You are in total control of this process. You can flick as little alcohol as you want or as much as you want. It's all on you. Like I said, let your mind go and just go with the flow. It'll all work out, bitches. It'll all work out. But you see how it's bubbling? I want that effect all over this tumbler. So that's what I'm doing. Just flicking and blowing. Flicking and blowing. Let's get to the fun part. Removing all the vinyl. Now, I go straight in. I do not let it dry. That is totally your preference. But I can get the Peekaboo process done in one setting. And that's what I do. So once I get my alcohol how I like it, it's time to start removing all that vinyl. This is the time-consuming part. But it's so worth it because this is where you get to start seeing that beautiful glitter pop through. This was a custom order, and usually, like I said in the very beginning of this video, the watercolor effect is usually my base, and then I wrap the vinyl around that and spray paint it black, white, whatever color, and have the watercolor peeking through. But one of my customers, she wanted it opposite. So that's what we are doing. Let's speed this bad boy up. And then we'll get to the fun part. Final coats. And here it is, bitches. I let it dry for 24 hours before I go in with my final coats of epoxy. You can use a regular set or a fast set. That is all on you, your preference. I use a fast set. So I went in with DIY Epoxy Speedy Petey. But on my first of the final coats, I mixed in Petey's Fairy Dust. This is an epoxy additive that'll give a nice gold shimmer. Everything will be found down below. So as you can see right here, I mixed up about 20 ml of Speedy Petey. I am getting my epoxy additive, the fairy dust, added into my mixture once I mix up my epoxy. I wanted to mix up my epoxy first before I added the additive right there. And then we apply it to the tumbler. I inspected and missed a little spot of vinyl, so I pulled that off real quick. but I let it spin and dry for about 1 hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, and this baby is complete. I went way out my comfort zone with this one. I'm getting so many questions on how to do it, so here is your reverse watercolor peekaboo tutorial, and this is it, bitches. Look at that shine and that gold shimmer. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. It is appreciated, and let's get it.